everybody, welcome to the Jeff Rubin Show. I am Jeff Rubin, and I am very excited because today on the Skype-o-phone, I am joined by Paul Schrier.
Hello.
And Jason Narvy.
Booyah! What's up?
Who are perhaps best known for their roles as Bulk and Skull from the Power Rangers. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Thank you, Nostalgia. Power up. Anyone?
Jason played Skull. Paul played Bulk. And here we are years later. Not only were you guys on Power Rangers, I am to understand that you are actually the two longest-serving cast members of that show. Is that correct?
Well, we'd be the number 1 and number 2 slot. I have to give the number 1 slot to Paulie. He has been on longer than I by virtue of Samurai and In Space and a couple others. But other than that, yes, we're the longest.
Back of the bus. You're a terrible Jew. Back of the bus.
Power,
well, you're the worst Jew I know. You're like the
hey,
worst
how
Jew.
can I be so bad? I'm in Sheboygan. You don't get more Jewish than Sheboygan.
Well, you are in Wisconsin.
I'm in Wisconsin with Sheboygan. So many goys, oi. They put the oi in goy.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having us on the show, man. It's really cool to finally be here.
It's so good to have you guys on. When you say Samurai, you're talking about there's like different every season, almost every season of Power Rangers is like a different theme, and you're talking about Paul, you were on Power Rangers Samurai, and Jason, you were not.
That is correct. Paul, you're on Samurai. You're enjoying your life, and Jason, you are.
Oh no, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page.
Hey, you know the season's not over. You never know what might happen by the end of the season, Rubin.
Never know who could pop up. God knows.
No.
So, how many years have you been on Power Rangers? Paul, you go first.
Well, it's this is my 11th season on the show.
God. Oh my God.
As the Goyim flies. However, if we think about chronological time, we both started this gig in 1992, before some of you guys were born.
Good Lord. I've got jackets older than some of the you people listening right now.
Yeah, but frankly. You know, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, Jason Narvy, because, you know, look, this fan base, this demographic is only 5 years away from reaching their maximum earning potential. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh,
which means we're going to start making really terrible collectibles out of polyresin, just like Star Wars, and you can spend too much money.
That's true. Wait, when did you start being on the show? You said 92?
92. The show started filming, like they did the pilot in, what was it, the fall of 92? And then we actually started shooting principal photography of the show in, I think, February of 93.
That's 20 years ago, to do the math really quick.
Good God. Don't do the math. Don't do the math, Scott. Don't do that. Just don't.
But that's like about... So there must be people who are nostalgic back for, you know, the Mighty Morphin early era of the show, as well as kids that are into the newer ones, too. So it's one of those rare things that escaped being just a nostalgia and is still relevant.
But think about it this way. Okay, how many shows did kids watch that their parents also watched that were not in reruns? That's the thing. When
Or in rehab.
Exactly, in rehab. All the kids in rehab are watching Power Rangers now, and their children right now are watching the new Power Rangers. So it's all good, you know.
I can't even think of one. I'm struggling at one. I mean, there's probably stuff like Sesame Street. And,
yeah, Sesame Street.
Maybe... I don't know. I'm struggling.
What do you think about? I mean, like what? Have Gun Will Travel was one of those shows that was on. Bonanza was on for like 20 years.
What are you talking about? You're speaking Greek. Look, all I know is look. I like 9 Inch Nails, and I like Britney Spears.
Oh, all the new ones. The kids are loving them Britney Spears. The kids are loving their 9 Inch Nails. The kids are into their Nirvanas now. You know, they really like that.
Wait a minute. Hey, Rubin, you tell us.
Yeah.
How old are you, man?
How old are you? Like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah,
like, what's the connection there?
That's a great question. I am 30, so I was 10 when Power Rangers premiered. And honestly, I think I might have been a little too old for it, but I definitely watched it anyway.
Well, that's captive audience marketing, man. It's like 3:30, you're home from school, you're like, heaven help me.
I was talking to some of my friends who are a few years younger than me, and they were like, yeah, I was a little too old for Power Rangers. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, fuck you too.
Hey, you know, look, I played with my Star Wars action figures until my dad literally, like, stole them and sold them when I was, like, visiting my mom one time. And so I came back in Princess Leia, and you know, like they were all gone, and like I had these alliance wars set up between the. That was horrible.
there's nothing better than being the oldest kid playing the game. I don't care what the hell the game is. You get to decide what character you are. You can kick all the other kids' ass because, you're like 15 years older than the rest of them, So
hey, Rubin, did you have any sibs? You have any siblings?
No, just me.
Well,
that explains it.
Jason had a couple of siblings, but they could have gave 2 pence for his thing. Like he essentially was a lonely child, and I'm an only child.
And you're an only child.
It's kind of like living in Alaska. Hey, got a board game? Doesn't matter. You're alone.
Yeah. Well, there's video games.
That's true.
Yeah, it does. And, unless you're the kind of kid that, you are bad at absolutely everything, and video games are just another way to remind you that you can be humiliated on a daily basis. Thank you for bringing up my past.
What if you're bad at everything except video games? What does that
Let's
count
not
for?
talk about net play, okay? Because, look, network play is terrible. Like, I like PlayStation 1, me, solo, I'm alone, I'm playing PS1.
That's only child syndrome right there.
Totally, man.
So, wait, let's go back a little bit. How did you guys end up on Power Rangers? Did you know each other beforehand?
No.
So, what was that audition process like?
Paulie, he was there before I got there, okay? And so they were pairing me up to him, and to give you want the long, boring answer or the short, boring answer?
I would love the long, boring answer.
All right, Paulie, do you want to start off then with how you ended up being a staple on the show?
Welcome to VH1 Behind the Idiot.
Behind the Morons.
Go on.
Okay, so basically, here's how it worked. Okay, in the original pilot for the show, okay, that never aired, there was basically no Bulk and Skull. There was a bunch of bullies. Bullies 1, 2, and 3. Paulie was bully number 3. Paulie had such a great role that actually when they had to go back and redub his words because they were filming in a bowling alley, you couldn't hear a damn thing he said. They actually had somebody else redub Paulie's lines. So in the original pilot, Paulie didn't even really have a line. But what he did have was a witty rapport with one of our producers and writers, Tony Oliver, okay? Paulie had a background in theater. Paulie was one of the only, I don't want to say that, he was a great actor, okay? And he knew how to do his comedy, but he was cast as a bad guy, okay?
And then the same thing kind of came into play when Narvy came in for the audition, when they realized that they really didn't want any of the other punks. They just kind of wanted to do Laurel and Hardy thing. And so Narvy was, I believe, the very first candidate that they saw for the quote sidekick role, and it was love at first moron, like seriously. Well, because that strong theater background, and plus he was covered in motor oil and had just delivered a few parts for the Ford Motor Company. And his what was Marilyn? A Chevelle? What was she?
No. Marilyn was a 1968 Cougar, Mercury Cougar.
I'm sorry.
Wow. Oh, how very apt. I never thought about it. She was a Cougar.
Mm-hmm. Think about it.
Wait, what are we talking about right now?
We're talking about Narvy's old car when he showed up to his first audition for the show, like covered in oil because he had just delivered some used auto parts for his job.
Yeah, I was working as a Ford parts driver, and I was doing auditions in my spare time. And so they sent me on this audition after delivering parts all day, and I was already bitter and broken and in a bad mood. I'm like, I'm gonna be a complete prick. And
punk rock,
total punker. And they hooked me up with Paulie, who when I walked in, I saw him, he looked like a badass. I mean, he really did. He was intimidating, but he came up and he was, pretty much his first words were, "How you doing? Let's get to work." They didn't have a good script for us, so they let Paulie and I basically go play together for about 2 hours.
And you guys had never met before in your lives?
Nope.
No, we had, but we did have a a rabidly strong appreciation for physical theater. I mean, if you want to get stupid about it, you can think about the real derivative stuff like Bulk and Skull, Gilligan and Skipper, Lenny and Squiggy, but really it's Laurel and Hardy. And we were really fortunate to have that mutual dialogue that was already established before we even met each other. And so, look, during that little hour and a half or 2 hours that we had to work it out, we basically created a very brief, nonverbal kind of dialogue with each other, where it would be me going grr and him going yeah. So it worked out really good, and it was instant. It was instant success from moment one.
I like that. We didn't recognize each other's faces, but we spoke the same language.
Yeah, fat and skinny.
And it probably goes back even further than Laurel and Hardy. It's almost like a commedia dell'arte type thing, where there's just these stereotypes, these archetypes.
Yeah, well, Narvy obviously is the classic melancholy, and I, the sanguine.
Were Bulk and Skull in that role of comic relief, was that always part of the plan for the show, or was that something where they saw you and they liked your performance and they were like, we can use this to kind of counterbalance the show?
A little A, a little more of B. I mean, they didn't know exactly what to do with the comedy. Bulk and Skull were only in about 5 or 6 episodes, actually. So they thought a lot.
Yeah, the first 40 initially, right.
Yeah, exactly. And so what they did is they put a lot of the comedy on the Power Rangers. Like, they'd morph and something would go wrong and they'd land in the command center and they'd all fall on each other. Oof, oof, oof. And they also expected there was going to be a lot of comedy with them at the juice bar and Ernie, okay?
Hey, Kimberly, don't do it.
Don't do it, Kimberly.
I remember Ernie. Ernie's the guy that runs the restaurant, like
That's right.
the bar, the Max that you guys all hang out at.
That's right. The late great Richie Ginelli, man.
God rest his soul.
May God rest his soul, man. And he was a funny guy, but it didn't work with the Power Rangers. They had to be heroes. You know, they wanted to look up to it. So after a few episodes, Chaim Saban actually saw the footage of Paulie and I, and he said, I quote, and I apologize if this is a PG-13 show, but he said, these guys are fucking morons. I want them in every show. And then they went back. I love those guys. Do that laugh, Paulie, do that laugh. No, that's beautiful. They always do that to laugh, but you will not get the raise. So, so they went back and they reshot half the season and put Bulk and Skull scenes in every damn show.
That must have been exciting at the time.
Well, you know, that was the punk rock girl phase, we call it, because we got to truly be like your worst archetypical bullies. You know, I mean, and so we were mean and we were belittling and we were like making fun of the dweebs, kind of like you, Rubin. And hey, you dorks. You know what I mean? It's like it's so easy, but however. Usually, most TV gigs, man, they only last like a year, you know.
Yeah. But you're lucky.
But this show was like a loping Japanese zombie back from the dead with new and improved, new and improved comedy because our characters do not appear in the Japanese show. And so it was a challenge every year to find a new kind of reinvented tack for us. We're junior cops. We're French waiters. We're mimes. What are we this year? Detectives. You name it.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said, though, because this is something I don't know that everyone understands about Power Rangers. It is based on a Japanese show, and a great deal of the footage is from that Japanese show, right? Am I explaining this correctly?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of more than a great deal. I mean, it is directly based upon our Japanese predecessors from 2 seasons, or at worst 1 season ago. Let's all give the shout out to Toei, because you guys, all you punks, all you young punks, you think it's nostalgic for you. This show has been on the air in Japan since I was a little boy, and it aired in 1972.
I remember when we first started Power Rangers, that show was already 20 years old. And I remember us saying, oh my God, come on.
Oh, it's never going to work.
It'll never work. 20 weeks if we're lucky, for God's sakes. 20 years later, good God.
But wait, that is one show that Power Rangers is based on, and that show keeps evolving to involve ninjas or dinosaurs or samurais or whatever the theme for that season is?
Every year they have complete turnover. They clean house. They got very angry when we got rid of the original Rangers. Well, we kept the original Rangers lineup. We kept the original costumes for like 3 years, something like that. We kept the original lineup nearly 2 years, 3 years. And that's much longer than they ever did in Japan.
So we kept our original cast for as long as we could, and that was a real departure from the Japanese show. Only about after 5 or 6 years did they want to return to the paradigm of new dorks, new robots every year.
Yeah.
Except for Bulk and Skull.
Except for Bulk and Skull, because they didn't know what they were going to do with the comedy. That's the thing, I'm sure they wanted to get rid of us more than we care to realize, but they didn't know what they're going to do with the comedy.
Hey, Jeff, did you ever stumble across the show during the Disney years?
Maybe. I mean, I've definitely seen it. Be lying if I said I was a regular Power Rangers viewer for 20 years, but I was always aware it was still on and, you know, vaguely curious about what was happening with it. I'm not sure when the Disney years were, though.
Well, there were about
that's on purpose.
Exactly. There were 7 or 8 of them, and Disney was really confident in their casting, and the actors were quite good. However, you can't climb a mountain that hasn't been written. So the actors often suffered from the schedule-driven weakness of the comedy in the scripts. And so, they didn't have the comic relief characters in the show during those years.
You guys were not there.
Yeah, because Narvy had decided that he needed a PhD.
But how does that work, just mechanically? How do you... Sorry, there's like a loud noise now.
That is an RF. Great. Yeah. That is RF interference of some nature.
Yeah, that's me being at Starbucks, and it sounds like there's a vacuum cleaner going on. Tell you what, here's what I'll do. Tell you what, let me step outside.
Take your laptop outside in the street.
Let's see how this goes.
That'll be... Yeah, let's see how this works out. Okay, here we go.
I hear some Wisconsin Public Radio. Hi, thank you for listening to Wisconsin Public Radio.
Wisconsin Public Radio. Okay, here we go. Now I'm out on the street. Is that better?
It is better.
Oh, awesome, because it's like 5 degrees outside. So
it's a man on the street interview now.
Is it cold outside?
Well, for me, I'm from California, so of course it's freaking cold.
Sorry.
But it's only like it's like 45. It's not so bad.
So Jeff, like after 20 years, we recently did the Power Morphicon convention for the 3rd biannual gathering of the dorks, as we call it, and we're 2 of them. And it was so cool to see all of our old friends, all of these diehard super fans, and there are some super duper fans out there. And we're really realizing there's this kind of, the skinny tie comes back in every decade or 2. And so, there's the next few years that we are the skinny ties, or at least one of us is the skinny guy.
Ooh, I like that.
Actually, we have a really big announcement. I don't know if you know this, Rubin, but this is Bulk and Skull World Tour 2013.
What is that? What's Bulk and Skull World Tour 2013?
Well, it's nostalgia power up. It is us traveling the country, going to comic book, toy, and anime conventions, and meeting a bunch of the people that were so kind as to wait through all of that kung fu just for a little good slapstick. And so we are going to be traveling the country in the next 12 months, and we're going to be at a lot of events. And you'll have to keep your eye on our Facebook so you can see where you can find us. And if you don't see your city in our schedule, then you have to do a stalker thing and call up the people running your local convention and tell them that you have to have us.
Say, I need my Bulk and Skull.
It was very slapsticky what you guys did for the show. And you were talking about how when you first auditioned or when you guys first met, that you were just coming up with stuff. Was that how it worked on the show, or was that tightly scripted?
What, that we came up with stuff? No. It was loosely scripted, and we were kind of the cheese whiz that held the sandwich together. You know what I'm saying? I mean...
what kind of sandwich is that?
A big turd sandwich is what it was.
Cheese turd. Cheesy turdy. I mean, it varied. It kind of ran the gamut, Jeff. There were some bits that, by their very nature and the skill of the writers, and there are some of our writers were really, really great.
Yeah.
But when you work for Saban, it's a trial by fire. Like there is a Saban way when you're working on the show. Like Chaim wanted to see a certain type of coverage from the directors. He wanted a certain type of actor playing the roles, and he was very set and very cool with us, and so he wanted us in there. But the writers, because of the schedule, because of the deadline-driven nature of television, sometimes we just got the shaft, man. You know what I mean? It's like we would get wacky, Easter Bunny costumes, but they were pin laden because the costume department didn't have enough time to actually make a bunny costume for a fat guy, which is unrentable because it doesn't exist.
Well, in some ways, we suffered from our own success. I mean, I think that sometimes the writers will be like, "Oh, I'll do this," and they will make it funny. That's what they will do. That is their job.
That's where we ended up, right, Narv? I mean, yeah. But there was guys like Sperling, and I mean, a few of the writers really had the zeitgeist of it, and they were really able to put us into scenes and give us, and here we go, right back to acting 101, Narv.
Yep. Give us the objectives.
Dr. Narvy, right? I mean, because Jeff, without an objective, the idiots are just morons.
Yeah.
But if you give them, and this, look at the Stooges, look at the Three Stooges, you know what I mean? It's like every episode is them with the, we gotta get a job. You know what I mean? It's like whatever, like they were lucky that they never had an episode where there was no objective. Unfortunately, that was not always the case with us. Occasionally we would show up anomalously and just be like, bah, 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 bah.
Well, and that's the thing. Sometimes, I mean, think about the whole thing about the power. I think the second season in some ways was the most flattering and exciting because we're like, oh, we have a super objective. Well, we had a super objective, but a super objective, going back to freaking Stanislavski, you can't play just a super objective. You need smaller objectives in a scene that gives you enough that you could attempt something to achieve that objective and either succeed or fail. With Bulk and Skull, you always fail. So if they give you something too big, you literally are falling in space, like Paulie said. But if they give you something small, Paulie and I could be at our best. And that's where the great directors and writers came in, is they would find small little things that we would have to unwind within the shot. You know, the old, as you always like to say, Paulie, the penny glued to the sidewalk, and Bulk and Skull had to pick it up.
Look, I love that gag because it is the quintessential boil down of, it doesn't matter where you put it, that gag works. You know, like, and that doesn't even really need any A plotline connection. Now, at its best, we were connected with the A plotline characters. We had the very, minimal relationships. Obviously, Skull had a little bit more of a minimal relationship with A Kimberly.
Hey.
But thank God I had such a great and talented partner to work with. Because, I mean, there's nobody better. Way to go, Felix Ryan. I mean, Jason Narvy.
Oh, I don't like this fat man you put me on the radio with. I don't know what this man is doing. This man is talking about objectives and super objectives, my tactic, the rising action of the plot. What is this?
Guys, I'm going to level with you. I do not know who you are talking about anymore.
That's all right. Well, Felix Ryan plays Jason Narvy, Skull's son.
Oh, Spike.
Spike is my little bastard. That's what he is.
I've done some research. I've done some research in the past few days. Yeah, Spike is your son. It's Skull's son, who Bulk is now training in the ways of the samurai.
There you go. You, Jeff Rubin, you have stepped into a larger world by doing your research and knowing exactly what the world is and how it comes together and how we are all, interrelated.
Wow, you're like Soda Voce, the Russian thief.
I also want to go back to that super objective you were talking about, because if I'm not mistaken, I know what that is too. That's in the second season, you guys were trying to uncover the identity of the Power Rangers, right?
That's right. That is absolutely right. And again, it's this giant black hole that in an episode to an episode, you have, basically just shtick. Here, it's a big thing that they'll never achieve and therefore fail at the end of 30 minutes. That's that was fun. But then when they put us in the police academy, somehow now we had more objectives in a scene-by-scene basis. And that's also about the time that they figured out we needed a third person. We needed a Mo as opposed to just, I guess Curly and Chimp. I don't know. But they gave us a...
And that was Lieutenant Stone.
That was Lieutenant Stone, exactly. And what they found was that if you gave us a third person, a third antagonist, above the already wacky antagonist, Bulk and Skull, you had someone that was always pushing them to those smaller objectives and giving us those smaller moments where you can make shtick really funny.
I think it's kind of cool, though, that over the years, Bulk and Skull have this arc where they start out as bullies and they start out as mean and they're... just kind of punks, I guess, really. Kind of shitheads, frankly. And then over the years, they really gain a sense of responsibility, and they work for the police force, and eventually become, like, decent guys who, even from time to time, help out the Power Rangers.
Yes.
Was that fun to play, that arc over the years?
Yeah, the 30 seconds we got to kick ass and Countdown to Destruction, yes.
I watched Countdown to Destruction, again, just this week. Gotta give... huge ups to the Morphin Grid wiki. I did a lot of great research, and
nice.
It mentions that's like a big episode for you guys, so I checked it out. And that one is awesome. That episode is great. It's like, I guess like all is lost, and like society has fallen apart, and like the villains have won, and the Angel Grove government has failed, and people are like gathering around campfires, Red Dawn style.
It's dark.
It's very dark, and then You guys are like, no, the Power Rangers have always been, they've never let us down before. They'll be back. And then at the end, there's like the villains want the Power Rangers and they'll leave Earth, and it's this thing. And right before the Power Rangers give themselves up, you guys kind of pull like a Spartacus move, and you're like, I am the Blue Ranger, and like lead society in turning the tide against these aliens.
See, that's the thing. When you have the people that are already heroic, doing heroic things, who gives a fuck? You want the guys.
Hey, I'm right here. Don't curse at me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paulie.
I'm on Nickelodeon.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh hell. Oh crap. Oh, I didn't want to be a nun anyway. Look. When it's the guys that are the downtrodden already, the guys that don't have the strength, that find the strength to do the right thing. I mean, they don't even have a moral compass, let alone the physical strength to do this, and yet they step up to the plate. That's something we can identify with. And I think
Hey, Narvy, who directed that? Florentine? Who directed that?
No, that wasn't Isaac. That was
Koichi?
It may have been Koichi, I think.
Maybe Koichi and Jonathan?
Oh, I don't know if you're time.
But you know, the fact is, like, the whole Spartacus thing, that was in the script, but the part where we got to actually kill some cogs in a 3-second fight scene.
Cogs are kind of like the latter-day putties.
Correctamundo.
Yes. People that are trying to follow along.
But that wasn't. And we were like, dude, this is the penultimate. This is the end of the arc for us. Like, we can die fat and skinny and happy if you'll just let us kick ass for 1 minute.
Just 1 minute.
And the producer was kind enough to let us rock it.
Yeah, you guys like kind of toss around. I thought you were gonna get morphin coins at the end or something. It was getting pretty.
I gotta say though, I mean, you know, when you think about it, there was many times in season 1 where, you know, way back in season 1, even though we were loving being the bullies, where we were like, maybe one day we will be the heroes and the Power Rangers. Thank God that never happened.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
God
you know,
to the end.
Every time a fan brings that up to me, man, you should be the brown chicken grooving ranger. You know, like, no, I don't.
Chicken grooving ranger.
Well, you know, I mean, in the Super Samurai season, there's like one episode where there's like wacky, you know, the standard, you know, Ju, Kaku, Maku, Saku Ranger, where they have the anomalous, you know, 5th or 6th character that comes in. It's an old woman or a fat guy, or, you know what I mean, or somebody with one leg, you know, and they come in. And they turn into a ranger for one episode. And it's like a profile in courage. It's like Anton Apollo Ono. He might not kick ass, but he probably will. Let's watch. You know, so but the fact is, if you become a ranger, face it, you're gone, man. Later.
Rangers is your see ya.
Exactly.
Your leftovers you're put in the fridge like Walt Disney.
So I'm very I'm very pleased to have never become a ranger, because at least there's always something to aspire to, and why would I want to be one of those dweebs?
That sounded like the real Bulk coming out. Was there a part of this show, like a phase of this arc, that was the most fun for you guys to play?
Oh, because I mean, there's fits and starts, and it always depends on which director we're working with, I think, and which script we have. You know, I don't know about you, Paulie. I mean, I kind of really find that I loved the detective stuff. The more I think about the detective stuff, I think I like that stuff the most.
Well, at least you got to get a little smarter. I mean, us mutually got to get.
Yeah.
Well, you did. You know, actually, you know, in that season, Jason, that's when the fulcrum kind of turned, and you were finally able to, I mean, really finally able to, you know, deploy your massive arsenal of acting talent. And we kind of traded roles a little bit. Like, I still had like that, you know, surety of my idiocy. But
right.
You were actually growing up, you know.
Oh, that's true.
As a character in that season, but you know, I mean, honestly, that was my first thought too, Narv. But I like kicking old ladies in the street. So punk rock, MMPR all the way.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing. I go back and forth. It's because the first season, I think that's what the characters are. I mean, with any damn character, you kind of find a moment that's a touchstone. Hamlet and the Skull, you know, Lear raging against the storm, Vulcan Skull.
Hey,
say yes, yes.
Do that laugh. Do that laugh. Thank you.
Wait, I wanted to hear what the Hamlet and the Skull moment was for Bulk and Skull. What skull?
Skull is the pie, baby. Sitting there with that pie. Alas, poor whipped cream. I know where this son of a bitch should be going. Sha!
Hey, what about the Mozart thing? Oh, what, you're kidding me? Like, Skull is a classically trained pianist?
I know. What did you call me? What? What about my
I'm
pianist?
sorry. Whoa!
Whoa.
And of course, my character's in the audience going, man, I don't even know this guy. He's like a stranger to me.
That happened. Did you guys watch Breaking Bad? That happens on Breaking Bad this season, where like one of the guys who is Jesse's friend, I can't think of his name right now, but one of like Jesse's meth head friends, just like randomly out of nowhere, you see he's like a piano prodigy. Just like one scene opens with him playing the piano. Is that what happened on the on Power Rangers?
It is.
Yeah.
Rubin, it's just like that because face it, there's only 7 original plot lines in the universe, and it's all about chop it, drop it, put the story down, flip it, and reverse it.
Amen. And that's the thing, you know, when you think about the Spartacus moment, the Spartacus moment is like is really sort of the flip side of Bulk's coin, more than Skull. Okay, Bulk is a guy that needs to command the world. He needs to make the world move. Skull just needs to find a little crevice where he can, you know, kind of slither into like an eel and occasionally pop out to bite something. But
sycophant.
He's a sycophant. Sycophant. You know, so Skull being the Phantom of the Opera is perfect. Bulk as the advocate for Spartacus, I forgot what the character's name was in the original Spartacus, that is Bulk. That is his ultimate moment right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that was 15 years ago. So
Yeah.
Ever since then, it's been a very slow, lazy roll downhill.
And that was the episode Countdown to Destruction. What was the deal with that episode? It seemed like a very big one. Zordon sacrifices himself and like his like time juice like cures all the bad guys or something.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's the thing. I think this kind of goes back to them playing with demographics, okay? And I don't know this, Paul, you always have a really good insight on what they were thinking as far as this goes. They were always really adamant about keeping the demographic between, 3 and 11, basically.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
And then Chip Lynn at this point, he was going by Judd Lynn.
Right.
Judd actually was looking forward to Power Rangers in space and saying, you know, this should be kind of a Star Trek for kids, not you know, kind of schlocky cheesiness. And so I suspect that a lot of that had to do with Judd trying to make it a more serious and trying to bump that demographic up to a more tween, even though the tween demographic wasn't acknowledged at that point, more of a tween and teen market. I'm not sure though. What do you think, Paulie?
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, you know, like I said, Chaim had a very particular, and at that point, Fox had a very particular idea of both their audience and the show they wanted to make. However, when your kid's show is on for 6 years, the 11-year-olds are growing up, man. Yeah. And you have to evolve the story. So I think what Judlin did, and what Jonathan Sakura was really behind him too. Like they realized you have to evolve not just the basic ethic conundrums in the show, you know, beyond the, you know, International Food Fair, you know, into something that, okay, maybe it shouldn't be suburbia, you know, like a Wolverine, you know, the Red Dawn, you know, on the street, but we definitely.
Uh-oh.
For dinner?
Uh-oh. I lost you. Are you there?
Oh, we're here. We're here.
There you go. Sorry about that. That was very odd. Like a semi drove by and it must have belonged to the CIA or something, because suddenly all of a sudden I hear Arabs over at Starbucks. And then I hear Paulie going, Narvy, did you have eggs for breakfast?
So you know, at the end of the day, and that I believe, my friends, was right at the end of our in space season, where we got to finally kick ass on Astronema. I mean, she's a beautiful villain, gotta love her, but she had to go, and it was nice to evolve that a little bit, and of course the next season was far less inspiring, and very soon thereafter, Mr. Narvy took his leave of me and went to college.
Yeah.
How old were you guys when you started the show?
I was still 18, and so, Paul, you'd be 21.
Correct.
That must have been exciting to be 18 and on this hit television show.
Good God, of course it was. I mean, it's what you dream of, and in some ways, you know, I was so realistic about when I thought I would become a working actor on a regular basis. I thought it would be when I was, you know, in my mid to late 20s. I'm not a beautiful man. I was not a beautiful young guy. So I'm like, well, when I'm old enough, I'll do the character roles. And then I got Power Rangers, and so I'm like, well, now what? But that was exciting. It's what you want. If you want to be an actor, and if you're in Los Angeles, you want to be an actor. There's no other way to sort of become royalty. This whole Horatio Alger thing in California means you show up to Hollywood with your makeup case and your headshot, and you pound the pavement till someone gives you that big break.
Yeah, no, we really respect people that follow their dreams and come from Nebraska to do their thing, because quite a few of our fellow castmates, they lived that dream. They were back home, and they had outlived the personalities and exhausted the patience required for local community theater or college, and they ditched their fiancés and rolled to California and were successful. And so, gang, just because you're 25 or 28 or 30 doesn't mean that your dreams are out of reach. Never let anyone tell you that you can't dream and do what you want to do, because the quantum field is right there for the pushing. Go rock it.
Well, that's the thing. If you decide this is what you want to do, you know, this is the only thing that I am made for, then you throw yourself at it full force. When you're young, why not? You know, sure, it's hard, but so what?
Dude, to your point, Narv, you know, if you live in Los Angeles or New York, you're a maroon if you don't do it, if you got a face like this. You know, like, if you are so strongly typed, or your body is just so slamming that, you know,
like Paulie's.
Exactly. Like if I needed to be dancing hip hop, like it was in my soul. But you know, so it's an antisocial contract. Like, you have got to get off your ass and go and do it if you live in a major market. And you have it so much better. You New York kids, you crazy New York hipsters with your colorful tennis shoes.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? There's so much great performance in New York. You know, it was one of those deals that, you know, growing up in Los Angeles, you know, that there's the film industry, which is really, really, really hard to break into. New York, you think, oh, Broadway's the only game in town. Hell no. There's great, you know, performance on every damn street corner in New York. There's 1,000 great theaters in the New York area, all up and down the Eastern Seaboard. For God's sakes, if you want to act, it's a place to be.
Isn't that true, though, even in LA with video? You know, like, you can't be in movies necessarily, but I'm sure there's all sorts of interesting short films and internet videos being made like that. There's opportunities all over the place.
There certainly is now.
Dude, it's a desktop revolution. If you're not getting what you want, go make it yourself. Because, I mean, Narvy, how many times have we done Hamlet? I mean, please.
Oh, dude. Yeah, exactly. Come on.
We've done Hamlet like
10 times.
Jeff, we've done Hamlet like 4 times or something. It's like seriously.
When you have to say, like, when you're talking about Hamlet, and you're like, the time that we did Hamlet no, the other time, you know you've done it too much.
No, the other time?
No, the other time, Paulie. No, the second time,
so
the time when you had the feathers.
You guys really did put on a performance of Hamlet?
No, 2 or 3 or 3.
Seriously. You guys have put on several performances of Hamlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I was Claudius, he was Laertes and directed. The second time I directed. No, wait.
What? Yeah. No, wait. Yeah. No, you directed was the second time.
Right.
I did Laertes again on that one. And then
is it just you two?
No.
No.
The other Power Rangers are there too.
Well, Catherine Sutherland was. Lord Ed was there. We decided because Paulie was directing and we had the money to fund the damn thing out of our own pocket, we decided we were going to do it the way we wanted to. And Paulie is an epic guy. He's an epic motherfucker. I'm sorry, I know you're on Nickelodeon, but for God's sakes, Paulie, take the credit. You're an epic motherfucker. So he wanted his Hamlet to be epic and big and lots of swords. And so he decided on a sort of Asian war Hamlet is what we'd call it. He wanted Hamlet, like the kingdom of Denmark, he wanted the castle of Elsinore to be under siege. So we got
right. So you take Fortinbras and all of his Norwegian jerks, and you don't like displace the war into some, like, you know, distant, horrible long scene that needs to be cut. You make it, you know, cannon blast and shaking walls and breaking glass, and that raises the stakes for everybody automatic.
Absolutely.
Was there any comedy in this performance?
Only from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and we hired a Roger, who is a 7'4" tall guy who actually was a grip on the show.
Yeah, He was a guy that, like, when they needed something that was up high and they didn't feel like getting a ladder, they just get Roger, and he literally would change a light. You know.
So we found two guys that were.
He sounds good,
dude. He was awesome. They were more Bulk and Skull than Bulk and Skull. Like Auric Kinnett, the guy that played Rosencrantz. Oh God, hilarious. So yeah, there was comedy, but it wasn't us.
Yeah, it wasn't us.
Is that fun for you to get away from that?
Yeah, it's funny, you know, especially as young actors. You know, you always see guys that do comedy. You know, when they're young, they want to be serious. When they get older, I mean, think of Joe Pescopo. You know, for God's sakes. So it's fun to get away from it. But then, I found the past few years doing a lot of stage, I got stuck. I wasn't doing a lot of comedy, and I started missing comedy like nobody's business. So you always want what you don't have. You know what I'm saying? If you're making a living taking pies, you're gonna want to, do your art by, giving a little iambic pentameter, and vice versa.
Awesome.
Are there any scenes or specific episodes that you guys remember filming that stand out as particularly memorable or were particularly a highlight for you?
Ooh. Well,
yeah. Anytime I got to wear a bra.
Oh man, which was a lot. Oh, a lot. A lot.
I think we were in drag like 5 times, right?
They loved it because they knew that it got on our nerves, and the more angry it made us, the funnier it was to everybody else. So like, put them in drag. I don't know what to do. This one needs to be funny.
You guys also did like a lot of slapstick, a lot of like physical action. Was there one that was particularly demanding?
I do seem to recall one, and I don't remember which episode it was. We filmed up at Bronson Caves, where we had to do back falls from above the camera and have to flip onto our backs. And for whatever reason, they put us up on platforms, and we started off like 10 feet up and would flip onto our backs. And it wasn't until years later I'm like, why the hell did we do that? That was completely uncalled for. They couldn't see our faces.
Because we're Bulk and Skull, and you make no-name actors do their own stunts. I mean, what good are they to you if they don't?
I just thought they would, break our necks and then, have to replace us. And Lord, I guess we're cheap. Semantics! Fat and skinny guys on every corner.
Hey, I'm anti-semantic, and that didn't really matter to me.
Also, a lot of gross food stuff. A lot of just like
mayonnaise. Oh, there's one where we had where this was, I think, first season, where I had to put like way too much. What was it? Oh no, it was supposed to be mayonnaise on Paulie's back instead of suntan lotion. But instead of mayonnaise, like, oh, we can't do mayonnaise. That's disgusting. Here's 2 quarts of yogurt. Put that on his back. That was nasty. That was that. But the good thing about food gags is that the food doesn't go away after used. It kind of sticks around for the rest of the season, or 2 seasons, or 3 seasons. We could enjoy a sandwich in the 4th season that was schlepped on us on the 1st season.
Yeah, it's so true because, my character was always in that leather jacket, Rubin, and so, like, that biker jacket was great, but it only lasted about 18 months because every year and a half, it would like physically stand up on its own and say, "Take us to your leader." And then we were like, "Oh God, there's too much yogurt on the jacket. Get rid of it." And we would have to get a new one. So at the very end of my tenure on the show, the costume designer Danielle said, "Hey, I know you're done. Like, do you want to buy the leather jacket you've been wearing for the last 2 years?" And I was like, "God no, God no, it's nasty." Nasty. And then just this past year, a fan came up to me or emailed me, and she was like, "You will not believe what I got. I got your leather jacket."
Yeah.
It was like, "Oh, little baby Beavis, I'm so sorry for the yogurt smell." She's like, "Is that what that is?" And this is like 15 years ago, Rubin, and this jacket still reeks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the health department probably showed up at that chick's apartment and gave his jacket a B rating. You know what I'm saying?
In addition to rubbing yogurt on each other, you guys also both directed episodes of the show. Is that correct?
Not entirely. Paulie directed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you both did.
Narvy assistant directed, and that is just as good, believe me.
Is that right?
That is true. I did assistant direct. I wouldn't say it was as good. It certainly is as hard. That's for damn sure.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. What are the challenges of directing a show like Power Rangers?
Okay, well, here's the deal, Jeff. I mean, they're like, okay, it's really nice of you to aspire to directing. It's on. We start tomorrow. Here's the 22 pages you have to do. And, oh, by the way, the Rangers have all been changed into children, and you can only work them 4 hours of your 12-hour day. So the rest of the time, it's going to have to be really bad, tall people standing on their knees, and you can only shoot over the shoulder because you will have lost the children 3 hours ago. So because of the, damned child labor laws,
damn unions,
and in general, the major pressures of shooting television, I only cried twice working on Power Rangers in literally 16 or 17 years of service, and it was when I was first ADing for Shuki, and when I was directing. But the first AD thing, that is what made me cry the most, because it's nearly insurmountable, Rubin. Like, you can't do it. Like, it's like a square hole. It's a round peg. It's like.
It's ridiculous. And get it done quickly, get it done now. Do you realize, Rubin, there are people whose job, when you talk about your first AD, your second AD, your second AD, each person's job is to schedule out just enough crap to make sure the stuff gets there. The second has to make sure, starting at 6 a.m. in the morning, let's say on Monday, needs to start looking towards 6 a.m. on Tuesday. Needs to start saying, these are all the things that the director, assistant director, and screenwriter all need by tomorrow morning. I need to find them. I need to make sure they get there. That is then turned off to the second AD, who makes sure that they all get to the set on time, who tunes to the first AD, who makes sure it gets in front of the director for the camera, and then the director who finally gets to play the nice uncle.
When you're on a feature film, Jeff, you can, like, the director of photography or the DOP, he can rub his chin and play with his beret and smoke cigarettes for 3 hours while they're setting up just the little teeny light to kick the off the plant or something, But in reality, television it goes a little something like this. No, it kind of goes like this. You set up a scene where you have two Rangers talking to each other, or two groups of people talking to each other, right? And you set up in the morning, it's 8 o'clock, set the camera up looking east, and you've got one group of Rangers over there, and then you realize that you haven't even gotten through that side of the coverage, and it's already lunch.
And there's the thing. There's at least 5 Power Rangers, isn't there? So you need masters, you need mini masters, you need close-ups, you might need a reaction shot, and then you're going to need to turn it around.
Yeah, so what you learn to do eventually is you don't turn the camera and the crew and all the lights and the trucks around. You turn the camera 5 degrees, keep the same lighting setup, grab 2 bushes, stick them in the background, grab the other actor, stick him in that spot, switch the side of the camera, the line is on, and action! Because it doesn't matter. Because, really, it's about the actor in the foreground. So many times we have to cheat the turnaround. And those types of efficiencies are where it's at in television.
But all of that stuff is stuff that applies to any TV show with a demanding production schedule. Is there something specific about Power Rangers and all the monsters and the fact that half of your show is a Japanese television show that you have no control over that makes it especially difficult?
Absolutely. I think you just named it all. You got an entire second unit that is in full swing as much as a first unit, okay? And everyone on that unit is Japanese. And those are the ones that are going to be doing the costumes and the flips and the stunts and the explosions, okay? Good luck with that. Let's make sure that matches up with the rest of the footage, and action.
How did that work just mechanically from like a story perspective? Do you have to watch the Japanese episode every week and then write your own episode around it?
Originally, yeah.
Yes. Well, in fact, even right now today, like, they're in New Zealand smashing their heads against a desk, trying to shoehorn some Gickinger stuff and some other season stuff into a format that will actually make some sense.
My God.
And I'm sure they're going to do great. So, yeah.
Hey, dude, Jeff, I got 2 words for you. Green Ranger. Green Ranger, okay? How many Power Rangers are there? Go ahead, Jeff. Ready, and go.
5.
There's 5.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what they thought. And they started writing the show and casting the show and filming the show. And then they realized, oh, my God, sometime around episode, 11, walks in this guy called the Green Ranger. Dun, dun, dun.
And what was really kind of messed up about the Green Ranger is that in the Japanese version of the Green Ranger story arc, he kills his parents before he even enters the show. Yeah. And, of course, we can't do that on Fox. You know what I mean?
This seems like a crazy idea trying to use... Had that been done before, using a foreign show as half of your show?
I don't think so.
No, it hadn't. I mean, that was their innovation, wasn't it? I mean, it was being done in cartoons for years and years.
That's sure.
And that was, I think, Chaim's great innovation is he put the math together. He said, we can't see their mouths. Why cannot we do this with American actors?
But wait a minute, the yellow one has a penis.
Oh, well, then what we do is we shoot. And
shoot.
Action! So that's exactly what they did. He actually, before they did even the pilot that Paulie was in with most of the original Rangers, Chaim had done another test version of it where all they did was take the Japanese show and dubbed it like it was a cartoon. And from that one, they realized, no, you know what? We cut it out. We put in American actors when they're not in the suits. You know, this is why, you know, some people always ask, well, are the Power Rangers, hang on, I'm going to wait for that to pass. Are the Power Rangers capable of doing stunts? Because you never, you know, you have the Power Rangers fighting the putties in the parks, but the best stunts are done in costume. And the answer to that is yes, the Power Rangers were completely capable of it. David Yost was a wonderful gymnast, and so was Amy Jo Johnson. You know, Walt was a great dancer, and he could move really well, so he learned the kung fu very quickly. And Jason David Frank, to this day, I wouldn't mess with that man. But the problem was, of course, you know, is this whole thing is you need to shoot and shoot fast. Holding for truck.
And the late great Tui Trang. She was a trained civil engineer before she ever started in the Power Rangers. That was our original Yellow Ranger. May she rest in peace. And so she would be like, that whole rig you built, that's going to fall down.
I didn't know he was a civil engineer.
Yeah, no, she really tried to keep it under wraps because, you know, she didn't want to offend the grips.
She was a sweet gal. I got to tell you, Tui was so
awesome.
sweet. She'd make your cavities hurt. I mean,
it's cool that you guys have obviously maintained such a close friendship over the years. Do you still keep in touch with these other cast members?
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah, we definitely do. You know, and some of them closer than others. You know, we talked to Catherine Sutherland on a regular basis. Johnny Young
Jeff,
Bosch.
I've been on the show with 75 Power Rangers.
You know, it's like a high school reunion. Hey there, you whose name I don't remember. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
Hello. Hey, my dear. How are you? I'm good. What's my name? Well, it's not like we dated.
Do you have any idea how many episodes you've been on?
Yes.
Ooh.
How many?
For me, I believe that I am at 320.
Wow.
No, you're higher than that, man.
Really?
No, yeah, you are, because
how high am I?
So high, Paul. You must have done probably closer to about 410. I'm going to say that. I'm going to throw that out there.
It's great that it's 50 off. That's like it's 2 full seasons of most shows. Yeah, give or take.
At a certain point, Rubin, it turns into a fugue. You know what I mean? It's like it's
it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. For God's sakes, how many weeks are there in the year? How many years are there in one's life? That's how many episodes we've done.
Bingo.
It sounds like a grueling schedule, though.
Oh, it was hard, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, okay, think of it this way. You shoot for 12 hours, right? That doesn't include getting to the set. That doesn't include getting into your wardrobe and getting into makeup.
Or getting home.
Or getting home. You know, so really you're giving, I don't know, 14, 15-hour days are pretty much the common thing. And then on weekends you're going through and you're doing looping, ADR, you know, fixing the audio from damaged tracks, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so it is your life.
When you're working in really hardcore, low budget episodic television, there is a reason why the rabbits end up spawning little children. It's because there's nobody else to hang out with. You finish the day at 11:30 and you look at the 80 zombified souls around you, and there's 2 people that want to fight for their right to party, and you're like, hey, you want to go have 17 beers before midnight? And they're all, yeah, let's go. And then you end up married, and you're like, So that was the truly hard thing about it, is that people joke about the insular nature of television, and how, actors who, are successful on television, they kind of like have the meltdown, the Jen, Michael, Vincent crawl into the bottle, and then fly the helicopter kind of thing. Well, that's because there's no time for anything else.
No.
And everyone else who might have been your friend 3 years ago when you started this gig, like, they've given up on you. Like, they're gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
your life changes.
Yeah, you're looking at the worst decision makers around you. Like, hey, you with kind of the drug problem. Hey, let's party. And they're like, okay. So that's honestly one of the harder things for me is and also exiting that. Exiting the cocoon of production. It's tough. Because you start calling up your old friends, and they're like, "Oh, we thought you died, man."
Yeah, or hey, we thought you were too good for us now. No.
Oh, Sammy, don't say it, Sam and Grosso. Why? Oh God, sorry.
I mean, I looked at the episode list for the show. There's like 60 episodes in the first season. I was like, how is that even mathematically possible? It's more than one a week.
Exactly. Oh yeah,
it's like a soap opera.
Yeah, we started off 2.5, and then we ended up with 2 a week. No. Yeah.
Well, some of them got broke up into multis, and don't forget, back in the day, we called it the dope opera.
Yeah.
The dope opera. What did that mean?
Well, we're dopes, and we are in it.
Yeah. Something else that came up when I went to the webpage is that apparently at some point there was a Bulk and Skull pilot. Is that correct?
Yeah. But it never got shot because focus group testing told our friends at Saban that people didn't care if it didn't have Rangers. Yeah, like there was a kind of component of the adult audience, and some of the older people that watch the show.
Is there a large adult audience for Power Rangers?
Well, there was our characters.
Yeah, we always saw it that way. Look, parents are gonna be watching it with their kids. We'll give the parents something to look at. And again, this comes back to the idea of demographics, The idea of kind of adult comic books that was kind of looked at as a kind of strange anomaly at that point, Remember, people were screaming bloody murder when Batman was wearing black with the Michael Keaton version. That was only a couple years before Power Rangers.
Power Rangers, I remember being somewhat controversial because of all the violence.
Hugely controversial because of the violence.
Yeah, no doubt.
They didn't have live-action TV to kids. There's no rubric. Again, I don't want to make it sound like we're pioneers, but we are making mistakes because we're doing it for the very first time.
Davy Crockett, moron in the wilderness.
Well, actually, that's a great example. Davy Crockett right there. You could get away with that in the 50s. Nobody stopped to think that in the 90s, that's the coming of the sort of the more touchy-feely, let's be very careful in PC era.
Right.
So violence could no longer be looked at as a sort of, fun sort of thing that young boys and girls do with the cap guns they buy at Disneyland.
Well, our show is the baptism for the American audience into this is the cost we pay for bombing the Japanese in World War II. No, I'm not kidding. No, this is true because ever since the war, their pop culture has been completely like apocalyptic, sadomasochistic, cruel, weird, freaky deaky. And that's because when somebody vaporizes a couple of cities in your country, there's a shift in the national psyche. You know what I mean? And we kind of have to deal with that in a way.
I remember you saying that a few times. You said, "Look, drop a couple of atomic bombs in a culture and see what it does to their outlook."
Well, and then the stark irony is, oh, guess what, Red Rum, you get it now. Now you got to make it work.
Right.
In America, which is like so. I mean, go back to Red Ranger kills his parents. I mean, sorry, Green Ranger kills his parents. That's just like when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. Oh my God, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Were there other storylines that you couldn't do for various reasons?
Well, I do remember there was a Power Ranger storyline with and I really don't remember what the actual storyline was, but I remember the footage of it was Power Rangers being crucified. So
yeah, I remember. Hey, Narvy, why did you crawl under your rock already? Your voice sounds different.
Oh, I stepped into they kicked me out of Starbucks. And they're closing it up, so I stepped into my car. But if I'm too quiet, I'll step back out. I'll go back out to my street. I'm back out on my street corner now.
It sounded fine before too.
Oh, did it? Oh, thanks, Paulie. Thanks.
So Jeff, you're really cutting to the heart of the matter. Do you have any more like really edgy questions for us?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in the role. I don't know. Were these edgy? Were these very edgy questions?
No.
Oh, well, I mean, in the latter part of our little, nuanced interaction here, for sure. I mean, you know what you want to ask. I mean, at least you haven't asked the really uncomfortable questions.
What's the really uncomfortable questions about Power Rangers?
Why did the Power Rangers quit the show? Why did you change your cast?
Yeah, why did
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you kind of talked about why they changed the cast. I mean, it's been on for 20 years. I think that's something. I think that's like you can assume why. I don't know. I'm not interested in like dirt. I want to know what it's like to be Bulk and Skull, to have this really unique role on this legendary show.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, being caught up in the maelstrom of pop culture and having it happen around you, there was an Elvis factor. That like we did this Universal Studios thing at Universal Studios in Hollywood, and we walked out on stage at the Universal Amphitheater, 20,000 people in the audience, and a sea of flashbulbs engulf every part of not only your vision but your peripheral vision. And I look over at the skinny guy, and I'm like, I'm gonna choke on my tongue right now. Like I can't even say my line. Like so, like what was it like? It was a blessing to have such a wonderful partner. And it was damn good timing, and a really a very strong vision, a vision of fidelity for Haim Saban to stay committed to the show, to sell Margaret at Fox, to have her son, thank God, like it, and to have us be #1 worldwide in 2 weeks, and there's so few actors out there get to live the thing that they seek, and don't get me wrong, every one of you unrequited geniuses out there in the world, I will carry your bags anytime, because I'm kind of slack-jawed, half-ass kind of a dork that stumbled into a really good thing and then took it seriously enough to keep it going for a long time. I think Narvy and I both feel very fortunate.
Absolutely. I mean, and think of it this way. Think about getting what you wanted in the humblest of ways. We got like Paulie said, we got the kinds of acting partners that you only dream of getting after being in the industry for 20 years. You know. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, normally that kind of bitterness has to grow over a generation or so. And to start off with that, and it's. People always say, ask us about, you guys, it was such a big show. What about all the money? Well, I think fortunately for us, we didn't have the big money. What we realized we had was great relationships, that we had a great career, that we had good work to be had. We didn't have great money. It was perfect. We were young guys and girls doing what we wanted for a living, for a small time.
I'm not allowed to tell you what we actually made in the first season on the show, but I'll tell you this. If you worked full-time at Starbucks as a starting employee, you made $20 less than we made on the Power Rangers for the first 2 years.
I imagine there's a lot of. Do you guys get recognized? You're both somewhat distinct looking.
Hey,
hey, that's his way of saying we're freaking ugly, Paulie.
No, but you're these iconic characters, and you mentioned this before. You're both archetypes. So
yeah, I get recognized by all my bartenders. They're like, "Hey, you're Bulk." I'm like, "Make it a double, sucker."
You only get recognized at the moment where you don't want to. You're picking up the dog poop, and suddenly, "Hey, you're the guy from Power Rangers. Hey, you pick up dog poop now, do you? Huh?" Yeah, that's me.
You're the guy.
You're the guy. You're the guy. Because there's only one.
Hey, where's that other guy?
Where's that other guy? Hey, where's that other guy? You know what? It's funny, but I had to kill him and bury him in the bottom of the East River. Why'd you ask, sir?
You know what I said. I've said for years now. Everything people are like, "Where's Skull?" It's like 2 beat pause or 1.75 beat pause, and then he's dead, straight face. People are like, "Oh my god, really?" God. I'm like, "No, he's dead to me."
He's dead to me. I don't care about him anymore. That's funny, dude.
Here is an uncomfortable question. I'm sure that there are all types of fans of Power Rangers, young and old. Are there a lot of legal age female Power Ranger fans that are aggressive with you guys?
Aggressive with us?
I get hit on a lot by whale lovers, and not female.
Really?
Oh, dude, please. Hey, it's a damn shame that whalerider.com went offline, because it was a really great shot of my ass on that site.
Oh, that's too bad. That's a shame. That is like losing a national treasure, right there.
When I told my gay dad, that I was on whalerider.com, like there was a pride in him, and then a horror, and then a pride, and then a shame.
Those are the emotions I usually go through on a daily basis every time I wake up. Absolutely.
Narvy is by far the more potent sexual beast out of the two of us. I mean, look at him. I mean, just
look at me.
God, look at him. And he had
swimming with sharks when you get in the pool with me.
What is Whale Rider?
Sadly,
because I thought you were kidding, but then I started to think that you weren't making that up.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm sure the former webmaster of Whale Rider might chime in on your forum and send you the picture.
I'm sure he does so every week.
Mum's the word, but I'm sure you can find a cached copy of Whale Rider somewhere, Ruben.
I'm not sure if I want to look for it or not, but I'll
why do you ask, Ruben? Why do you ask?
Punto profundo.
I guess
maybe if it's good for Christmas, you'll have a little something under the tree. Oh my God! It's fast! Turn it off! Turn it off!
Maybe that is a good place to transition to the fact that Jason, you have a PhD.
That's correct.
So after you left Power Rangers, you became a doctor.
Yes. Well,
you got your doctorate.
I got my PhD in theater studies. I went on to study Shakespeare for about 2 years to get my master's. When I left the show, I was kind of re-examining myself. I loved the acting, but as I said before, I didn't ever think what next. I always thought I'd be struggling as an actor for years and years. And it was, okay, now what? I wasn't convinced that I was using myself, my talents properly. I wasn't sure that I was focused. I mean, ask Paulie.
You were getting used.
Yes, I was getting used. That's for damn sure. So an experience like that will make you say, okay, what am I doing here? What is important to me? And so when I went to college, I found that I believed really strongly in higher ed. I mean, I loved higher ed. Don't get me wrong, man. I got myself kicked around and kicked out of junior high and high school. So I didn't have a love for, the public school system. But higher education, I love this think tank. I found a group of people that were committed to their art, to their study, to their sciences, and just loved it and breathed it 24/7. I said, fucking A, man, this is something I can dedicate my life to and not throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I believe firmly in theater and acting and all the good stuff that Paulie and I had explored together and developed together. And I'm like, man, this has to not die. And so I needed a way to fold the two in. The PhD was the way to do it.
It's so rare, Narv, for somebody in our vocation to actually get their desire so early in their career.
Yeah.
And then you kind of had like this kind of like this opposition reaction where you realize that you didn't want to just be a pseudo intellectual anymore. You needed to be a bona fide suitor.
I needed validation, just like you said about. I remember Paulie saying this when I was 18 and doing a bunch of theater, and my parents were supportive and suspicious and a little bit scared that I'm working at Ford and taking classes at Lee Strasberg. And I remember Paulie saying back then, he's like, dude, it's great that you got this show now. It helped validate you that you were right and that you've got something to go with. Look at Paulie; he's like a mentor to me. But that's the thing, and I think. And I think you felt this too, Paulie. We felt that we had arrived, but we didn't quite have the clout or any way to go further forward with it. We kind of didn't know what to do with, we knew that we worked well together and we knew that we had a commodity. We didn't have the oomph that it would take to produce something that was ours, because we knew we couldn't continue to work for anybody else, however good or bad they were. We needed our own vision.
Absolutely, because legally and contractually, there would have been a cease and desist slapped on our foreheads within 30 seconds if we did anything beyond, Of Mice and Men or Hamlet again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Paul, what have you done outside Power Rangers?
What have I done?
Good Lord, what hasn't he done?
Who have I done? What have I done?
What are you up to?
I'm somewhat secretive about my about my current Lenny. You know what? I'm like Chuck Barris working for the CIA. And since the year 2000, when I left the Power Rangers series the first time, I spent 4 years sweating under Joe Giuliano at the feature animation camera department at the Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Cool. That sounds fun.
I counted a lot of frames, and Brandy made me give away a lot of chocolate. And then and I served coffee like a pro. And then I did a couple years on something called Project Tomorrowland, in which the company was focused on putting 10,000 accountants out of work worldwide. And so we implemented the SAP back of house business process software. And then after 2 years of that, they unceremoniously rolled me off, and I was fortunate to join an amazing team. And I am creative director at Gentle Giant Studios currently, and have been there for 8 years.
What is Gentle Giant Studios?
Well, what am I, Google? Get a book.
Well, while I got you here.
No, I'm not going to answer that question. Because, you know what? Look, I'm giant, and I'm gentle. And so therefore, we get to make really cool stuff. And obviously, since I'm on Power Ranger Samurai currently, I've had 2 jobs for the last 2 years, which has been a little weird.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Paulie. Paulie is one of those people that if he never went into acting, if he never went into anything creative, he would be a great leader. He is great at pushing a business forward. I mean, he's got all the makings of greatness, for God's sakes. He would be the best damn producer that I know. So, well, Gentle Giant,
dude, if I would have been an actor for vocation, I would have for the rest of my days truly acted every day like I didn't want to choke the shit out of people.
Yeah, which would have been your best acting role ever, for God's sake. So with Gentle Giant, Paulie is kind of the guy who he is the artist who helps the artist make what Gentle Giant makes, quite frankly. I think that's the easiest way to say it.
Well put.
What does Gentle Giant make?
Stuff. Everything. What do you want?
What do you want? We'll make it for you.
What do you want?
How much you got?
You want a giant King Kong? You want Tonto Lone Ranger busts? You want some 3D scans from all of the Harry Potter movies? Dude, seriously, IMDb, Gentle Giant Studios, and the list is it's retorted.
So wait, it's like props for movies. It's like art.
Well, it's like this. It's basically it's art. It's 3-dimensional pop culture art. Whether it's a giant King Kong that's standing over Tower Records on Hollywood Boulevard, or even a Christmas ornament that's got Boba Fett. Gentle Giant creates these things.
The Kurt Adler Company, New York, New York. And these days we have our hands in a lot of fine art stuff. We are very fortunate to work with my nemesis, Robert Williams, the creator of Juxtaposed Magazine, as well as Brian Donnelly, also known as Cause, coming out of New York with his amazing tonal, barely legal riffs on other people's characters, and we get to work with a lot of the really big galleries around the world. We've got a piece going into the lobby of the London Film Museum in a few weeks that's designed by my captain, Carl Meyer, and there's a lot of really cool stuff happening. And so basically I facilitate for really great art directors. I facilitate art directors that are better than me, and make sure that they have their assets, and make sure that we don't piss clients off twice in a row.
Man, I bet that's something that came up all the time on Power Rangers. There is so much like random weapons and monsters and costumes and stuff on that show.
Power Rangers is so product driven. I didn't even realize it till I watched it. I was at my friend's house, and his mom was watching the show with us. And what the moment where the Power Rangers take their weapons and create the bigger weapon, she's like, "Good God!" She says, "It's a commercial for the weapon." I'm like, no, it's not. She goes, yeah, it is. Look, there's a freeze frame of the one toy. Then there's a freeze frame of the second toy latching onto the third toy. Then there's a freeze frame of all the toys come together. It literally was a commercial for the toys. I went,
yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Like that never occurred to you while you were on Power Rangers?
Never occurred to me.
You know,
again, Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, where's the toys at?
Yeah.
Were there ever any Bulk and Skull toys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys in any of the video games?
Yeah. We did a couple. We did a couple of the
interstitial stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys should be like mini games in between the main levels. That's how I think going down.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Play me, baby. Play me. That's
But it would be everyone's favorite part of the game. It'd be the part of the game that everyone remembers, you know? Like the football level in the Tiny Toon Super Nintendo game.
Exactly. Like don't hose the Pasadena Convention Center with whipped cream. But
well, Oh, lawsuit.
It's funny you made the noise. That's like, you guys on that show, it's very like Mickey Mousey, where like every step you take is like a womp, 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 womp. Are you aware of that when you're like filming it?
Well, Ron kind of did that, right, Narv?
Yeah, Ron did that.
Who's Ron?
Ron Wasserman, the composer right after Shuki, the composer that did all the real work, on the show. Like we were pulling so many cues off of each other, Jeff, that were very subtle, physical, vocal, breath cues, that we had to do big moves so that we could sync up the big reactions together because they wanted it bigger, bigger, bigger. Yeah. And so it was a natural kind of progression. And at the end, it did get a little bit like
long. Look at and again, Disney took it a step further when they started re-airing the old Power Rangers. They started adding in literally like Batman-esque bam, splat, biff kind of stuff. It was terrible.
That's interesting. They re-edited old episodes of Power Rangers.
They did. They put graphics in them. Literally graphics. Giant graphics that would say biff, or like the food fight one. Skull yells food fight, and they had the words food fight come out of my mouth. Food fight.
It's not cheesy enough.
Power Rangers is a very subtle show. It needs some of it needs to be spelled out. Disney also did that with these like classic Disney cartoons. They took these and they took them, and it was like cartoon kablam. And it's like these classic Disney cartoons, and they added like voiceover where they're like, "Uh-oh, look out, Goofy, kablam!"
Those voices that you're talking about that are added in later. Anytime you see a movie where you think you can actually hear one of those voices in the back of your head, anytime you picture all the guys around the boardroom discussing how a scene should go, and there's 20 of those people deciding how that committee is going to turn out, you're watching something that's going to be mediocre right there, baby.
Art by committee. Go back to the Soviet epoch. If you failed, they airbrush the top part of your body out of the family Christmas picture, but your feet stay in.
That's interesting that they recognize, though, that it's a 20-year-old show and that they may need to update it a little bit in certain regards.
But that right there is an admission of defeat, isn't it? They're like, I mean, come on. They're like, this 20-year-old thing is not going to work for new audiences.
Doctor,
leave it at that. Leave it right there.
You and your opinions.
But, I'm not saying but the new ones still work. So the show must have changed in some way. The show must have evolved to the point where it still works, and they don't need to do anything to the newer episodes, and it's still popular. So,
well, it's now actually, Jeff, returned to its true custodian, Jonathan Sachor and Chaim Saban, where these guys know the show. The fact that the Samurai season harkens back so strongly to the MMPR days of the show, and to varying degrees of success, admittedly. However, there is.
How does it harken back? I'm not familiar with Samurai, so how does it harken back to the?
Well, there's a spirit of fun. There is an immediacy to the action.
There's a simplicity to it.
It is simplicity. They're not trying to do Star Trek light, and that's really what those Disney years became. It was like, somebody who's not bald yet saying engage. Oh wait, boing, boing, boing. And the leading cast trying to do the humor. Like, it was nice to have a couple of seasons where we could just have a couple of dumb guys and our heroes just rocking it. So definitely after Chaim thankfully got the show back from Disney. And hey, look, Jermaine, I love you, but you know what I mean? It's like the Disney brand and the Power Rangers brand, like the whole violence, the legacy of the violence, it didn't work. And I think everybody was happy to see it come back like a shoomerang.
Well, think about it. How many shows, movies are getting, rebooted, complete reboots, but the reboots are always going back to what the original was. They get rid of all the veneer, they strip it down to the metal, and recast it and show it again. That's right. What Power Rangers kind of needs, and Samurai kind of does do that. You know what I'm saying? It reboots the thing.
Well, you know what people have been talking about lately, and of course every fan is going to start nodding vigorously to neck injury as I say this, is people want to see the Dark reboot. People want to see the I Have a Mortgage reboot. Like, I want to see People in Pain reboot. I want Kimberly back. I want Kimberly. So, and I think if my friends at Saban Brands have their ear to the rail they will take this cue in the next 2 years, and you'll see a bit of a darker turn in the show. But
exactly, it's all about understanding that there is a demographic that is no longer 3 to 11 that loves Power Rangers, but has seen all the old ones and wants to see new with their new aesthetic. I mean, Jeff, for God's sake,
kids, right?
Yeah, exactly, Jeff. Yeah. What would you think of a new dark reboot of Power Rangers?
I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I gotta admit, I'd be curious what that would be like. Do you guys think that Power Rangers could work under that format with that tone?
Oh, absolutely. Like we said, even the primordial soup that came out of Japan had the darker side to it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it absolutely can.
Do you think kids can handle that?
Well, that's the thing, though. We're talking about a different demographic. I agree. It's tough. You're not going to be showing Dark Knight to little kids.
Well, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying they couldn't. I think they maybe could, depending on exactly what it is.
I mean, like, you're hamstrung because, again, it is the #1 kids property in the world. #1, people. And so there's a certain kind of, think about a dance now. There's a high kind of mantle that you've now got with Nickelodeon. And hey, I love Nick. I love the venue. I love the worldwide reach. I love
They understand their audience, man. They know their audience. Yeah. Awesome. They respect their audience.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And so, yeah, I think like that is the biggest obstacle, which leads us to a conversation that Jason and I have had several times of the last year, which is straight to net or digital release featurettes, where you go 90 minutes. It's enough to keep you entertained on a Friday. And you kind of bring back one of the 300 X-Rangers, and you answer some questions from the past, or you sew some stuff up.
It's an offshoot of the original spine, but it does not alter the current storyline. It kind of walks parallel to it.
Yeah, so why don't you walk that upstairs, Michael Madnick? Take it.
Could there be a darker Bulk and Skull plotline? What would happen to them?
Well, Bulk and Skull, I mean, there was a dark plot line running in the back of their heads all season. So you probably get to see what they were thinking.
Okay, Rubin, check this out. Like, there was like 7 or 8 times during the course of our 10-year original incarnation on the series when, like, Narvy and I would go, all right, how many Jesus jokes can we work into this episode? Okay, none. Okay, how about the next one? And so, like, literally, there are secret moments. It's kind of like a geocache. There are moments in the show where we do very subtle humor, physical humor, that if you watch closely, we're trying to work in a gag that is somewhat religiously kind of toned.
A lot of Pontius Pilate washing the hand gags.
Yes, thank you very much. Hey, my man, don't give it away.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, hell.
I didn't want to be a nun anyway.
I don't want to be a nun anyway. Suck on that one, P.T. Anderson. A lot of embedded stuff. If you watch all the old DVDs again, you will find these little things in there.
There's another example of that. Like, Goldar picks up the bus episode, whatever, in the first season when, scripted was Skull. I want my, Bulk. I want my mommy. Skull. Yeah, I want your mommy. Come on. Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we raged against the machine a little bit where we could.
Very good. And occasionally got through editing.
That's awesome. For me, it was fun to revisit Power Rangers and look back at some of the episodes. If someone's like me and they haven't seen the show in a while, what would you recommend? Like, what do you think is the most rewarding Power Rangers if you're going back and you're catching up?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I'm going to tell you, commit to watching one MMPR episode every day for 40 days. It's kind of like Moses. 40 days, 40 nights.
And it will wash away your sins, actually.
Whoa, that's amazing.
It will absolve you. It will absolve you of sins. Like going up the steps of St. Scala, it will absolve you of your sins.
Well, I mean, if it does for you what it did for me, it'll wash away your chins, because when you're... when you're hauling ass around Castaic Lake all day, like it's hard to stay fat. So, do me a favor, people. If you ever enjoyed Bulk and Skull, dorks, go back and watch MMPR, and then tune into Power Rangers Mega next year on Nickelodeon.
Power Rangers Mega is the one that's coming up.
Mega Rangers, man.
And what event are you guys doing? What events you guys have coming up on the Bulk and Skull tour?
Dude, there's like 20 different conventions that we're doing. We are
I don't
working
remember at this moment.
No, we're working with our dangerous assistant, sidekick / manager, Rob Zakowski. We call him Rob Z.
I thought you were going to say
Maybe.
Lieutenant Stone for a
Oh,
second.
no. Hey, Greg Doug, you're our manager.
Greg
now.
Doug. Greg Doug. I haven't heard that one in a long time. Good God.
Greg Bullock was a wonderful
Greg Bullock was
guy.
awesome, but he looked like his name should have been Doug. So for the first, I think, week that he was on the set, we're like, hey, where's Doug? You mean Greg? Greg Doug, whatever. So unfortunately,
Dude, I did it to his face, and he was like, Paul, my name is Greg, not Doug. I was like, oh, how about Greg Doug? Is that all right? He hates us.
He hates us.
It's tough to be a straight guy next to these two jerks.
Well, where can you get the tour dates? Where can people look it up?
we're gonna start posting them on our personal web pages.
That also known as the Facebookery.
And where are those? Like, how can people get there?
Oh man, I don't know the address.
How about Facebook.com, Jason, Narvy, and Paul Schrier.
Got it. You just go to Facebook.
Is that my name?
You know,
Yep.
I don't know mine either. I'm always just like, and there's a Facebook fan page. You figure
Thank
it out.
God.
Well, actually, your rap name is Jarub.
Jarub. I don't feel like a Jarub.
No, like not you. I mean Ruben.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh, I see.
Jarub is a little close to Ja Rule, don't you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everybody's riffing off of something, man. Like, I like the I like the Rubin cube, but that is derivative in itself.
Oh, the Rubin cube. That's pretty good.
Thank you very much. Because guess what? You're so square right now. You don't even know what's going on.
Oh my God, that is me. That's me. I'm the Rubin cube.
Thank you very much.
Well, guys, it's such a pleasure to talk to you guys. I think it's so cool that you guys. I don't know. It was these iconic parts in this very unique show, and it's a really cool piece of pop culture history.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, man. I appreciate you reaching out. I had a lot of fun with you today, and we will do this again. I think maybe in your neighborhood next time.
Yeah, we'll have a reunion.
Oh yeah,
We'll have a reunion, baby. We'll have a reunion.
Well, thank you so much for doing it.
It was a
Thanks,
blast,
man.
buddy. Keep in touch.
Hi, Jeff. Later, bro.
That is it for this week's Jeff Rubin Show. I put up new episodes on every Tuesday except the first Tuesday of the month, which means that I am off next week, but I will return in 2 weeks. You can stay up on all of your Jeff Rubin Show needs, all your Jeff Rubin Show news. If you follow me on Twitter, where I am at Jeff Rubin Show, you can find me on Tumblr at jeffrubin.com. You can find me on Facebook. We talked about how to do that during the episode, so you already know about that one. You know, this episode started because I posted a poll on my Facebook fan page, and I asked who you guys wanted to hear on the show, and one of the top answers was someone from Power Rangers. So that Facebook fan page, it's kind of a two-way street. I'm sending information to you, but you guys are helping me too, and that goes for Twitter. You can tweet me, you can email me, where I am Jeff Rubin at jeffrubinshow.com. I'd love to hear from you. I try to write back to everyone, and of course, there is youtube.com/Jeff Rubin. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Got some really exciting episodes planned for November. I'll see you there. Bye.